He's got to go. I love Mike. It breaks my heart to say it. I'm done with the guy, man.
Would you be on the keep Mike train or the fire Mike train?
Honestly, probably fire. I don't argue his ability to coach and to run a team. It's just getting the guys, and he's done a bad job at getting the guys.
Beating Bama is always a great highlight for any school. No school can downplay beating Bama. It is still a big win. It's still something that you should get excited about.
They're not winning, so
that's why you keep it, because we're in every
you're
game.
In year
that's
4.
why
you got to start winning these games. You're at Florida. You're supposed to have your guys, and you have the money, you have the backing, you have the recruits.
Napier is one of the most elite recruiters of talent. Who are you going to get outside of Lane Kiffin?
I love you, Mike, but it's a wrap.
All right, welcome to the show. FSU loses to Pitt 34-31, and the Florida Gators lose to Texas A&M 34-17. We're going to get in and debate this. We have panelists of Florida State, Miami, and Florida on the show today. And in case you don't know, this is a fan debate show where we bring on fans every Sunday after every college football Saturday from University of Florida, Miami, and Florida State to debate what's going on with the programs, future outlook, and talk about games that happen each weekend. If it's entertaining for you to watch fans debate and go at it in this forum, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. We're a new show, so clicking on that subscribe button helps give us the support to continue to put out these shows every Sunday during the season. If you disagree with any of the takes made today by our panelists, give us your take in the comments below. Before we get into the debate, I want to introduce the panel today. For the Florida Gators, we have Jalen. Jalen, welcome to the show.
What's up? Nice to be here.
Anthony is the Florida State panelist, and just want to say quick congrats on him and his wife. Congrats to both of them for having their first kid about a week or so ago. But welcome back, Ant.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Nice to see you boys. Go Noles.
And
not very enthusiastic there, but you know.
Point approved.
We're going to talk about it. And for Miami Hurricanes, we have David Lake's long lost cousin, Trent. Welcome to the show.
Happy to be back, brother.
And my name is Christian. I'll be moderating today's debate. So, boys, let's jump into it. The first topic we're going to discuss are the Florida State and Florida games, what happened, why they lost the game. And then after that, we're going to talk coaches Norvell and Billy Napier. So to start with FSU loses the game 34-31. I want to start with you, Anthony. What do you think lost the game for FSU? Obviously, it seemed like they had control of the game in the second half. Up a touchdown, middle 8. They had a chance to go up 2 touchdowns. They have a fumble by Keziah Holmes, and then it seemed like the momentum was lost and they couldn't regain it. So when you're watching that game, reflecting on the game, if you were to blame like the primary factor for losing that game, do you blame it on Tony White? Do you blame it on Gus? Do you blame it on Mike? Do you blame it on lack of talent?
Sure. So, man, it's a tough question to answer, I think. It's like I've gone back and forth all day since the game ended, but I think it's got to be the defense, right? Like, we had a true freshman quarterback come into Doak, and he looked like fucking Baker Mayfield, man. The guy had, 360
like
yards passing. Yeah, but no, he looked like Oklahoma Baker. Buddy was running around, making that touchdown throw that he threw off balance is the craziest, like, dynamics of physics I've ever seen in my life. Gets it over his own player to the guy in the back of the end zone who's wide open. Obviously, the offensive struggles were real in the second half. I know we scored 10 points, but that last garbage time touchdown, it was just like the Miami game. It's fucking window dressing. Like, I don't care. Even when we had the lead in that game in the second half, I felt like we were losing because I have eyes and I was watching the defensive performance. If you think about the first drive of this game, right, we had them in a couple 3rd and longs, 3rd and like 15, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and they get 1 yard short of it every time. And then they have 3 4th down conversions, a true freshman making his second start ever, right? So I would love to say that it's the offense that only scored 3 real points in the second half. But dude, if you're scoring 31, I'm sorry, that's enough to win a lot of games. We couldn't stop these people, bro. And obviously we're snake bit. Anytime anything is good for us, we have a Keziah Holmes fumble. We have Usman Chroma fumble against Virginia or Miami. You know, we can't get out of our own way, but as much as I'd love to say Gus is at fault here for the terrible second half, I got to go Tony White and I got to go to the defense, man, for like making that kid look like a fucking Heisman Trophy candidate.
Yeah, I agree with you, Anthony. The number one primary reason for FSU losing that game was Tony White. There were multiple times, must have been 3 or 4 times, where we had a linebacker matched up on Desmond Reed. It's like, how does that happen? And he was killing Florida State. You know, how do they not bracket that guy or plan to get a DB on him? It's unacceptable, and that comes back to coaching. That's not players. Trent, you watched the game. What are your takeaways, and what do you think lost Florida State the game?
Well, first of all, shout out Miami, the only team that did not of the big three that did not lose a game this week. That's always a win. But no, I pretty much agree with Anthony. Even though I do think teams are starting to figure out Gus a little bit. Like Anthony said, 31 points should win you games, at least in the meat and potatoes of the ACC. I like to. I want to put it all on Tony White. I think that FSU does lack in the talent department as well. I think that's hard to ignore. I mean, at the end of the day, this was a 2-10 football team last year. I think the Alabama game kind of just reset expectations, but this is a 2-10 football team last year. So I think they're lacking in talent on defensively for sure. Obviously, Tony White didn't scheme up a great game plan. I have no idea how Desmond Reed was able to be so open so many times and able to have just so much space around him throughout the football game. But they scored 31 points. The offense, at the end of the day, did his job, and the defense just didn't show up, and they haven't the last 3 weeks really. Excuse me. So I think there's a huge talent gap right now with FSU, and Tony White isn't exactly helping them, but I think the talent is a bigger issue than Tony White right now.
Got it. All right, Jalen, want to get your take from a Gators perspective. Anthony blames Tony White. Trent blames lack of talent. If you were to pick a primary reason for FSU losing that game yesterday, what would you put it on?
To be honest, I would probably say just like missed opportunities. Um, that Pitt team is like actually really good. I know they have like some wild losses, but they're actually like really good. So the fact that Florida State was actually able to contend and battle with them and their defense was able to get as many stops as they did, I thought was pretty impressive still with Florida State, even though they lost to Virginia and Miami. Um, but yeah, I'll just say missed opportunities. Florida State could have capitalized, kind of like the same thing with Florida. A lot of these games we're in and we could possibly win. It's just like we're not capitalizing. And I think that's ultimately what happened with Florida State too. I don't really blame the defense. I thought the defense played pretty well. Thought the offense, especially with a true freshman, even though it was at home, was still pretty movable and pretty sustainable. I had the over and like a bet, so like that hit, but yeah.
And want to stick with you, Jalen. The Gators lose to Texas A&M 34-17. When you're watching that game, reflecting on it, do you blame, as a primary factor, do you blame Ron Roberts as the defensive coordinator, Billy Napier as head coach and offensive coordinator, DJ for some maybe missed throws and some fumbles, or do you blame talent? I don't think talent is the issue, but wanted to get your take. And but I do want to point out the Gators were in the game, especially going into halftime, coming out of
In the fourth
halftime.
quarter.
It was a game, and then in the second half, it just got away from them. But the final score doesn't reflect that it was a close game. So wanted to get your take.
Yeah, with Texas A&M, that team is actually really talented. They've been paying for their talent, especially with that Texas money. So they definitely have like a talented team. So I do think that there was a little bit of a talent disparity. I think that they have like a little bit more experienced tenure as far as the talent goes. But the main thing was just like a second half offensive collapse. We came out firing. We were on all cylinders to start the game. I think when we saw how tough Texas A&M defense was playing, and then their offense was still moving pretty well. I think we kind of got disheartened, especially when we put up 14 pretty fast in like the first quarter. So yeah, I think it's just like the second half offensive collapse. I'm sure you're probably gonna ask us about like what lost us the game. So like I'm like not gonna touch on that too much, but yeah, just missed opportunities again. We can only put up 3 points in the second half. That's not gonna win us any game at all.
But who do you blame for that offensive collapse in the second half? Because looking at the stats, third down, Gators go 1 of 10 on third down and 0 of 1 on fourth down. And this has been an issue going back to the Miami game, the third down offense. Billy Napier is the main play caller. So do you put it on Billy? Do you put it on the players not executing? Or like was Billy scheming up things, or what do you put the collapse on?
Yeah, the cops was definitely on Billy. Like at the end of the day, you're still calling the plays, and it's the same thing that everybody gets on you about. The third down thing, that's been rampant in Florida for like the past like 5, 6 years. So that's not even like necessarily a Billy problem. We just do bad on third downs. It's even more so with Billy because 1 in 10 is atrocious. But yeah, it's all Billy. All Billy second half play calling, which fucked us over.
Trent, you watched the Gators game versus A&M last night. Where do you put the blame if you were to give a primary reason on why they lost that game?
Yeah, unlike Florida State, I don't think Florida has a talent problem. I think that's pretty clear. If you were gonna point the finger at anyone, it's always gonna have to go to Billy. With Florida, they're like you can just tell they're so close. I mean, look, as a UM fan, I'm confident with as long as Billy's that coach, they're not gonna take the next step. But you can see they are so close. Like they are product on the field. Like they have the guys. They are good enough to play in these big games. We've seen it time and time again with Billy. Like they show that they can compete in these games, but they just cannot get over that next hump of winning these games. And yeah, at the end of the day, that's gonna fall on the head coach. The first half, I thought they'd probably end up winning the game after watching the first half, even though the defense couldn't get a stop. The offense was playing great, and then it was a game all the way until the fourth quarter, and then Billy decides to go for it on 4th and 6 from the 50, which was just boneheaded. I don't know why he
Yeah.
did that. He could have pinned them back. It could have been a different ball game, but instead
Yeah.
they don't convert. They get 8 minutes off the clock and they score, and it just that was the end of the game effectively. So Billy made bad decisions again, but it's they play these games and they're in it for almost all these games, and then something happens, and then that's the end of that. And it's typical Florida and Billy Napier. And at some point he's gonna go, but it always falls on the head coach, and that's the end of that.
That real quick, just
Yeah.
to touch on that, since we're gonna talk about that moment anyway. What I want to say is like we're gonna go 1 for 10 on third downs. If it's 3rd and 6, you don't run the ball in any kind
Yeah.
of scenario. You don't 3rd and 8, third
Yeah.
and 9, anything 3rd and 3 or more, you don't run the ball. You throw to the sticks, and that's
Yeah.
why we're 1 in 10, 1 in 20,
I,
1 in 15
I
on
mean,
third down.
there was like I think there's still like 10 minutes left in the
There was
game.
so much time.
Yeah.
Florida had just got an interception. They just got to stop. And what is he not confident in his defense to get a stop? They pin him inside the 10, inside the 20. I mean, I don't understand the decision at all. It cost them.
The defense played better in the second half. I thought they were getting way
Yeah,
less,
absolutely,
way less.
absolutely.
And why did they go away from Dallas Wilson too? Like the guy was
Well,
balling in the first half.
we were throwing the whole drive, and then as soon as we start doing a run play, then we stalled the drive. So that was just like that's Billy's problem. That's Billy's main problem is that you don't like he wants to be such a run heavy offense, and then we don't need to play like that. We need to throw the ball majority, let Vernell and Dallas Wilson get warmed up, and then hand it off to Jaden Ball later on in the game when everybody's tired and been running for the last 15, 30 minutes.
That
You were
fourth
gonna
down
say something?
call was, yeah, it reminded me of our 4th and 8 against Miami the week before. It felt nervous. It felt rushed. It felt weird.
Desperate.
And then as soon as it happened, the game was over. Like, I know ours was earlier in the game, but in my group chats, I was like, yo, that's a wrap, kid. Like, we had a chance to pin them deep. You pin them deep. Your defense was playing well if you're Florida. Like, not great, but well enough, keeping you in the game. I thought the game was over there, and I thought it was over the week before when we did it on 4th and 8, and same result happened. I'll tell you, though, and this sucks to say, but if I were Jalen, I'd feel better about that game than ours. And they lost by 17, and we lost by 3, but I'd feel more encouraged
100%.
if I was a Gator fan than a Florida State fan right now because man, Billy sucks, dude, but that team fucking fights for that guy. Like they don't quit, they don't stop. They're not doing the things that we're doing. Like, bro, the thing about that first half yesterday and the way it ended, I know it was weird with like the Jabril Rawls stuff and like those personal fouls, but like I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the hell are we doing? Not only are we bad, but like we're incredibly stupid. Like we're doing the dumbest shit. We can't get out of our own way. And you know, if I were a Florida fan, man, I'd think we're gonna whoop the Noles when we see them in November. So I'd feel more encouraged just by losing by 17, and we only lost by 3.
Yeah.
While you bring that up, want to get Jalen's take on that game. Thanksgiving weekend, right? As of right now, Gators have 4 losses, Noles have 3, but you could say that some of the Noles losses are worse than the Gators. How do you see that game playing out at this point? And
I'm trying to see if y'all wheels gonna fall off. yeah. I think y'all win a couple more games, but at the same time, I'm ready for that matchup. It's gonna be fun. I feel like at least it's gonna be more even. You know what I'm saying? At least, yeah. Now we both kind of see.
As of right now, are you predicting a Gators victory?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot of our players first, like Gator game 2. They're gonna go in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll get into the outlook for the rest of the season for both the Gators and the Noles, but I first wanted to touch on the coaching. I got to go get my charger. Be right back.
We got to get Christian's opinion on Norvell because this motherfucker wants to keep this guy. So I got to hear.
I mean, look, it's not, and I'm sure he's gonna ask about it, but like, it's not about. I think his biggest problem is talent acquisition, and it always has been. He doesn't know how to recruit,
but that doesn't seem like it's going to change.
He was successful out of the portal one time. It's just like that's his problem. I don't argue his ability to coach and to run a team.
Right.
It's just getting the guys, and he's done a very bad job at getting the guys.
Players for a mid-major program. For a mid-major program, sure. Not for fucking Florida State, bro.
No, of course. I mean, it's just like, look, Mario, it's like Mario. Mario has his huge deficiencies on the field, but the floor is so high because he gets the fucking guys.
Because the talent level is high.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to get all of your guys' takes on Norvell, and then I want to get all of your guys' takes on Billy as well. So let's start with you, Anthony. The Noles fall to 3-3, and obviously coming off of 2-10. Last year was a complete disaster, and the hope was that this year you get the program back on track and you get the program going in the right direction, and you give fans hope again. They have that big Alabama win. A lot of fans jump back on the Norvell train. And then if you look at the boards or social media now, it's like everyone's jumping off the Norvell train now. If you listen to the FSU media, according to them, Norvell's already fired. So I want to get your take, regardless of what the social media, the FSU media is saying. What are your true thoughts on Norvell and taking the buyout out of it for the sake of a debate? Imagine if there's no buyout. What are your thoughts on Norvell? Do you keep him? Do you fire him? What do you think?
And I know you said not to care about the money, right? But it's going to cost Florida State to get rid of Mike. It's going to cost Florida State to keep Mike, because the damage that he's done to our brand is significant. All right. He's got to go. I love Mike. It breaks my heart to say it. I'm done with the guy, man. Our boy Trent here last week, he wore his black funeral attire. I almost did it today to signify the death of Mike Norvell's time at Florida State. Whether it's this year or whether it's next, he's a dead man walking. My belief in him is gone. The key to life, bro, is managing expectations. Jalen, this is what I does, okay?
I feel you.
The key to life is managing expectations, all right? And I came on this first podcast and I said the Noles are going to go 7-5, all right? And the person I'm really upset at is myself, because I let my expectations get out of control when we beat Alabama and we looked awesome, okay? So it's not just like, hey, we squeaked one out and whatever. We looked awesome, dude. Okay. And that's where things change, because now if you get to 7-5, the way that you get there matters. Okay. And losing these games, even if you manage 7-5, I cannot wash this taste out of my mouth and pretend that I can forget the things that I've seen happen over these last couple of weeks. And it's stuff. This guy preaches standard. What do you know about the Florida State standard? Nothing, because you came from Memphis, bro. Like, your standard at Memphis, cool. Awesome. Rock it out. You don't know what the standard is at a big program, and for you to sit here and preach it week after week, you don't know what you're doing, brother. And money, not money, I don't care. The time's done. He cannot get the players to make us where we should be, bro. It's year 6 and we're fighting with Pitt at home with a true freshman quarterback. We don't need to say anything else other than that. The guy's 1-9 in his last ACC games, dog. Like, it's infuriating. And I love you, Mike, but it's a wrap. Oh, portal acquisition, sure. He was the first guy at the party when the portal became a thing. He was the first guy at the party. So, yeah, he's scooping up Jared Verse from Albany, and he's getting Braden Fisk from Western Michigan. It's because nobody knew about the portal. So, awesome. You were on the cutting edge of that. Great. Now that everyone's caught up, what are you going to do? And he's done nothing. So, it's a talent acquisition game, and he can't do it. So, he's got to go.
All right, Trent. Anthony's obviously on the fire Mike train. What train are you on? Are you on the fire Mike train, the keep Mike train? And I'm not asking you from a Miami perspective because you gave your opinion last week from a Miami perspective. But if you were to put your shoes on in Florida State man's shoes as a Florida State guy, looking at it from that perspective, would you be on the keep Mike train or the fire Mike train?
Honestly, probably fire. I would be so frustrated if I was an FSU fan right now. It's hard not to be. It's hard not to sound like Anthony right now. And like Anthony said,
but wait. Before you give your reason, last week you said from a Miami fan perspective you want Mike to go, and
yes,
now
because I'm much less
so you're
emotional
saying,
with the decision as a Miami fan. If I was an
but
FSU fan, I'd be a lot more emotional because we were losing,
okay.
and I'd want him to get fired.
Okay.
On
But
the
did
outside
this
looking,
data
I'm not gonna
point
get over it.
change? Did this data point change, like the Pitt game, change your opinion on
No,
Mike?
but
Okay.
but
Go ahead.
I'll explain if I was an FSU fan. So,
Go ahead.
like Anthony said, to me, it's all about talent acquisition. And the good thing about Mario, as many flaws as he has on the field, he will always have a pretty high floor because he's the best of the best in terms of acquiring talent. I don't think that's disputed by anybody. With Mike, I think that he's actually a very good on-field coach. Clearly, he's been able to adjust to more of a CEO role with hiring all these new staff members, but he has struggled continuously in acquiring elite talent. Like Anthony said, he hit on the portal one time when the portal was a new thing. That gave him his 12-0 season. Who knows what happens if Jordan Travis doesn't get hurt, but he hasn't been able to acquire any talent at any point other than that season. And that was a one-and-done season because he got a bunch of transfers. They all graduated or they all got drafted, and he hasn't been able to replenish that since then. So it's hard to have a coach that cannot recruit and cannot get guys out of the portal. It's adapt or die in college football. If you can't get a guy that can just bring talent in, no matter how good of a coach you are, you're not going to win. You need talent to win, plain and simple. So that's the one bright red flag on Mike, is that he's been unable to do that, and he hasn't shown any improvement in it since he got to Florida State. So unless he can turn that around, my opinion will change as a Miami fan too, if he cannot improve on that. So I don't think he's getting fired this year. I think he's going to have at least another year, and this offseason is going to be the biggest offseason of Mike's career to see what can he do to acquire guys, whether it's in high school or in the portal, to change the trajectory of this program, because as of now, he hasn't really done that.
Didn't we think that was like his moment in between 2-10 and here? Because he's also the same guy that sat at a fucking microphone just like this and looked at all of us and said, this is going to be a quick turnaround.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're on the same path, brother.
And look, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think the Alabama game really fucked everything up, because everyone watched that game and was like, oh, we're back. We're whatever. This team was fucking 2-10 last year, guys. Like, at the end of the day, this was a 2-10 football team with a brand new staff, a new quarterback, a huge roster turnover. Like, it's hard to really have expectations that you're going to go win 9-10 games. But the Alabama game thought was, oh shit, FSU's going to win a national championship this year. So I think that Alabama game really screwed everything up. But even regardless, they are still not meeting expectations, because they're still good enough to beat a Pitt team. They're good enough to beat a Virginia team. They're not good enough to beat a Miami team. But regardless, these are games that they should be winning. And it's clearly because of a lack of talent, honestly, on both sides of the ball, but mainly the defense.
So Trent, if you take the money out of it, the buyout out of it, you would, and you're a Florida State fan, in a Florida State fan's shoes, you would fire Mike this year?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I think if it was a $0 buyout, I think he would be gone.
Okay. Even if it was a reasonable buyout, like $10 million, you still
I think he'd be gone.
Okay. All right, Jalen, want to get your take. Obviously, we know your take from a Gators perspective. You've said in past episodes you want Mike to stay. It's good for the Gator brand. It's obviously good for a rival school. If you think a coach is going to underachieve, it's better for your school, right? But if you were to put yourself in a Florida State fan's shoes for a second, I know as hard as that may be, you know, what are your
They're nice
thoughts on
shoes, buddy.
Mike? Would you be on the fire Mike train at this point in time with the data points we have to now, or are you on the keep Mike train?
Yeah. To be honest, no. And this is me in general. I think that it's super hard to like expect a coach to have like not even instant success, but even like sustained success in this like NIL era, transfer portal era. Like FSU did win their conference literally not that long ago. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's kind of hard to say, hey, I know you had a 2-10. That's not what we expect. There's sometimes like, hey, you are a little bit questionable. Y'all lose games that y'all shouldn't. But I don't think like firing him is the right word. Kind of like what Trent said. I would probably give him like another year or two personally. But even if
Even
I'm Florida
without
State,
without the buyout, you would still
without
give
the
him another year.
even without the buyout, I would probably still give him
Okay.
another year. It takes time to build like a great team. And Norvell was someone that jumped on the transfer portal really quickly. He had success. He brought in guys like Keon Coleman, Jared Verse, like that was mentioned. That takes time, and a lot of those guys like happen to leave, and then it's like, hey, now you got to go and recruit freshmen. He hasn't done a horrible job at recruiting freshmen. A lot of times, FSU is in the top mix for a lot of these guys. He got Deuce, which was a big flip from USC. He's gotten some guys that are like pretty talented. I just think that it takes time to build a team. Same thing with Billy Napier. Sometimes when you get these guys the extra 2-3 years, that's the time they
He's in
take to
year
become a.
Bro,
6.
we're on year
He's in year
6. You,
I
6.
get it,
we're
I get
we're
it.
gonna be
But
in a whole lost decade with this guy.
going through NIL and the transfer portal, those are things that coaches have never dealt with. So I have to get a lot of these coaches, even Brian Kelly, even like a lot of these newer coaches that started in the past like 4 or 5 years. I got to give them their kind of give them a little bit of wiggle room because hey, you have to deal with NIL. Nobody had to pay players before. They went off the this is our school, this is the name brand. You can't even do that no more because everybody's paying. So it's tough. It's tough to actually have tunnels of hey, this kid needs to come here because him and his friends and this school happens to come here. It's kind of tough to build that nowadays. Those funnels
Feel
are
that? I feel that, and like Mike really did deal with some unprecedented stuff, right? Like, forget that stuff. Let's think about when he
especially in the
started.
state of
It was
Florida. It's tough in
COVID.
the state of Florida.
For sure. But he started with COVID, right? He was coming with a program that was in shambles. So I feel you. Like, you got to let him throw out those first couple of years. But dude, this guy has been the captain of the ship at some of our most embarrassing moments in program history. When we got left at the altar by Travis Hunter, right? We were a laughing stock for years.
That's
We lost to
COVID. That's
fucking Jacksonville State, right? Like some of the most embarrassing moments that I've experienced as a Florida State fan has been with this guy being the captain of the ship. 2-10 is an immediately fireable offense in my mind. If it weren't for a money reason, it would have happened. How many of these big scale national embarrassments are we going to have under one guy before we say, enough is enough, my boy? Because I know we got clowned a little bit for when we charged the field after Bama, but I don't think you guys really understand the catharsis that the fan base had in that moment, because since the Travis Hunter embarrassment, all we've had on national stages is embarrassment, right? So we have this one moment where like, fuck yeah, dude, like this is who we are. That's gone. It's dissipated. It's gone. It might as well have never even have happened because the Virginia, the Miami, and the Pitt, it is year 6, dog. We should not be struggling against a true freshman quarterback. So I agree with you. It's a tough balance, and he's faced unprecedented challenges, yes, but so is everyone else in the country. And
yeah.
we're being embarrassed, man.
Yeah, and I get that. I get that wholeheartedly. Because, like, yeah, every other team is experiencing, but a lot of teams are further along than certain teams. I get it. 2-10 is somewhat. I don't know if it's like 100% fire, but I wouldn't want to overreact in that scenario because I do think that's kind of like, all right, y'all just won. Y'all almost went undefeated last year. Y'all happen to get screwed out. To be honest, from a Florida fan, y'all did happen to get screwed, not making the playoffs and whatnot. But going 2-10, yeah, that's probably a shell shock, but Travis Hunter flipping, like that's recruiting. That happens. Florida's gotten embarrassed. We had Jada Rashada 5-star QB, and then he wants to opt out of his. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
That
you
happens.
offered
It's
him
That
$50
recruiting.
worked
million,
out though.
though.
That worked out for you
That's
guys.
recruiting. That's recruiting. Miami, they had Cormani McLean. He wants to go to Florida, then go to Colorado, then go to this place. That happens. We can't like blame the coaches 100% for that. Even Billy's had to do that where they thought he was going to get this guy and that guy and this guy, and then he don't get none of those guys. And now we're like, oh, we still got to continue.
So I just want to kind of piggyback off what Anthony said. I mean, I don't think we can really overlook 2-10. Like, that is really bad. Like, Power
is.
4 teams don't go 2-10 because you play 3 or 4 cupcakes. That's how it goes. So at the time, it was easy to overlook because it was like, oh, they went undefeated. They were the natty champs, whatever. It's an outlier season, but like
Yeah.
it isn't. You don't do that. And then he just right now it's just continually to just downward spiral because they still haven't won an ACC game since the beginning of 2024. I don't even know how they beat Cal that year. They should beat 0-10.
I saw that stat. That was crazy.
Mendoza was the quarterback.
Mendoza, whatever.
Balled out yesterday.
It's been the same story since the 2-10 season. Outside of the Bama game, which again fucked everything up, it's the same fucking story. So you can't overlook 2-10. That is horrendously bad. Coming off of an undefeated season, makes it even worse because your team shouldn't be that bad. So
beating Bama is a great highlight. Beating Bama is always a great highlight for any school.
I don't fucking know how they beat Bama.
Schools can downplay beating Bama. It doesn't matter who's at beating Bama, even though Nate Saban's gone, it's still a big win. It's still something that you should get excited about.
But the Bama win is more of an outlier than the 2-10 season, is what I'm trying to say. Like, the proof is in the pudding. Like, look at what FSU looked like against Bama, and look at them now. They look more like the 2-10 team now than they did against Bama.
Well, one, y'all caught a sleeping Bama. Well, they caught a sleeping Bama.
I'm what I'm saying. I agree with that.
Didn't play. But Pitt is good. Miami's good. Even Virginia's the best they've ever been. So it's like
they should be beating Virginia and Pittsburgh, though. That's the standard that we're talking about here. That's a different. You can't be a coach at Florida State if we're saying, oh, Pitt and UVA are good. Like, it's okay to lose. No, it's not okay to lose those games. Period. It's not. It's not.
I think with NIL, it's a lot of parity these days in college football. I think it's any given Saturday. I think that anybody could come in and beat anybody with the right temperature, like especially teams that are getting better.
Yes, I agree with that. Any given Sunday, but every given Sunday is every Sunday now for Florida State. That's the problem.
Correct.
That's for a lot of teams. Oregon.
No. That's not how it works.
Other year, you would not think Indiana would contend with Oregon. You would not think that in any other scenario outside of this year where NIL and you got.
But you cannot compare Indiana now to Pittsburgh now. Those are two completely different programs.
They're two different things. I would say Pitt is on the level of like an Illinois or something like that, who is like still amongst those ranks. Just because you take a bad loss doesn't mean that you are immediately way lower than that team.
A couple bad losses.
I mean, they lost to Wake Forest.
They were a 3-2 football team against unranked losses to unranked teams.
But that's the any given Sunday. That's the any given Saturday. It happens.
It's every Sunday.
It happens. I'm
gonna hit Jalen with another cliche because I know he loves these. When people tell you who they are, believe them. Okay, Mike. Let's think about the last couple of years. All right, 2022. We come out and we look awesome against LSU in New Orleans until we almost blow it, right? But then we go and we have a stretch of games where we lose to, I think, NC State, Clemson, and Wake Forest 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
All right. Even in 2023, we start out hot against LSU, demolish that team. We look like a juggernaut. All my Florida friends, my Miami friends are texting me. They're like, son, y'all got it. And then what happens as the year progresses, right? We slowly start to fade. We almost lose to Pitt. We almost lose to Boston College and Tommy Castellanos. We struggle against North Alabama for the first quarter, which is why Jordan Travis is in the position to try to make a play that ends up leading to the injury that ruins his career. So Mike has these hot starts at a season, and then who cares? Because as the year goes on, we fucking spiral down the toilet where if we lose one game, the guy's good to lose 2 more in a row at a minimum. He always talks about response. His teams fail to respond over and over and over again. And unfortunately for us Seminole fans, Mike has shown us who he is, and we choose to ignore it and hope that he will be some other type of way because we love him and we love his passion. But when people tell you who they are, believe them. And he's told us who he is.
All right, I think we've anything else on Norvell
No, I
before
want
we
to know
get
what
to
you
Napier?
think because I know you want to keep
Okay.
him. So tell me why we should keep him.
So this is gonna obviously be a very unpopular opinion within the FSU
I already hate it.
faithful, and especially if you're influenced by the FSU media, if you're reading the message boards. After that loss yesterday, I was trying to think about the whole tenure and think about it in perspective and form my own opinion. For the Florida State faithful, should they be on the keep Norvell train or should they be on the fire Norvell train? And I ended up writing down 12 reasons why that Florida State should keep Norvell.
You're about to be the
So I'm
13th
just
reason.
Talk to him. Talk to him.
so and feel free to chime in at any moment. But so basically, and it's not just why I think they should keep him, but also why firing him would be a mistake. So the first thing is, and this is really for you, Anthony and Trent, because you guys are on the fire Mike train. Who is the clear-cut candidate out there that's a great fit for the job right now? When Manny Diaz was at Miami, you had a head coach at Oregon that was a University of Miami graduate, played for the school, grew up in Miami. His family's there, his mom's there. That was a clear-cut fit for the job, right? When you look at the college football landscape right now, who's a clear-cut fit that's realistic for the Florida State job right now? That's my first out of 12 reason. I'm asking you and Anthony, who's the clear cut?
I don't care. Anybody other than Mike. It's not my job to figure that out, right?
Yeah,
Like it's not my
uh,
job to figure that out. I'm not on
All right,
searching
that's the
committees.
thing is that
It's not my job. I don't care. It just can't be Mike.
So that leads to my second reason, which is it's not worth the risk to get someone worse. You look at schools, they fire someone and then they end up with someone worse, and then it sets the program back. So that's my second reason. Not worth
How much worse can we
getting
be?
someone worse.
How much
Y'all
worse
could
can
be
we be?
0-10, 0-12. Y'all could be worse. Y'all could be.
So
Okay, we were
so
2
here's
wins
here's
better.
what I'll
Y'all
here's
could
what
go
I'll
defeated
say.
for 5 years straight. It could happen.
And that leads me to my third reason, which is you ask how much worse can we be? How many guys out there that we can realistically hire have proved that they can turn around the program like he's done before? He turned around you talked about it. The COVID was a mess. The Taggart was a mess. He comes in, he turns the program around. 2022, he wins 10 games. 2023, he wins 13 games. He's proven that he can turn the program around before. And obviously, I know you brought up the portal thing, but my response to the portal thing, being first in line at the portal, would be he's starting to change his mix of talent acquisition. If you look at right now the high school recruiting rankings, he has like a top 12, top 13 class, trying to get a top 10 class. So he's starting to change that. So that my third reason is he's proved that he can turn the program around. My fourth reason is
Wait.
he hit the lotto in
Do you feel
2023.
turned
He hit
around?
the lotto.
No. I'm
Does the
saying
program feel turned
so
around to you?
from COVID to 2022, 2023, did he turn the program around?
He
going,
did.
Going from a shit program to 10 wins and 13 wins.
Okay.
Was that not a turnaround?
So you're
I
right.
won the conference.
You're right.
Y'all won
But
the
then,
conference. You
but
can't
then
discount that.
he's such
That's
a
a whole
good
year.
program turner that he turned us again from 2023 to shit again. So he took us from shit to great and then from great to shit.
I'll agree. He made mistakes, and I'm going to get to that. One of the points about the mistakes he's made. But
real quick.
Go ahead.
Coaches cannot be punished for losing talent. I feel like coaches should not be punished for losing talent at all. If somebody happens to transfer or goes to the NFL, you can't be like that. Like I
Fair.
get it. You want to retain it, but like you can't just be saying, "Oh well."
He identified Braden Fisk. He identified Jared Verse.
So did
He
everybody
went out
else.
No, but he landed those guys, and he's shown that he can evaluate that type of talent. So,
One second.
anyways,
Can I respond to Jalen?
Yeah.
You can't blame a coach for failing to keep talent. I agree. You can blame them for failing to acquire it.
I mean, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So I want to try to get through this quickly. My fourth reason for keeping Norvell is one of the most important stats when you look at fan satisfaction is your record versus your in-state rivals. Mike, at this point, still has a winning record versus Miami and Florida combined. Now it's close. He's getting close to 500.
It's good that you said combined. I'm happy you said combined.
Well, he has a winning record against Miami, and then he has a 500 record against Florida. So total, he's 5-4 against Miami and Florida, which isn't great, but it's still a winning record. So if he was like 1-9 or
No,
2
he got the one on Manny Trent, the 4th and 14.
Okay, I'm thinking against Mario.
Yeah.
I apologize.
So that's reason number 4
Manny,
is
bro.
he still has a winning record versus rivals. And at the end of the day, you could have a shit season if they beat their rivals. They lost to Miami, but if they beat Florida at the end of the year, fans are gonna feel good about that. So that's my 4th reason. Number 5 reason: history shows that when you hire 2 new coordinators, offensive and defensive coordinators, in college football, it typically yields bad or mediocre results in year 1, but so you can't judge it on 1 year. I know this is year 6 for Mike, but really he started over with these new coordinator hires. So that's my 5th reason: is Tony White is looking like a bad hire at this point, but he could turn around the defense, and by the end of the year, the defense could be playing great, and they could be like, all right, maybe Tony White was a good hire. I think that leads me to my 6th reason. It's too early to tell if Gus and Tony White are bad hires. They're, like I said, they could turn it around. Gus has shown some good things so far. He's not for sure a bad hire at this point. He could end up being. That's my 6th reason. 7th reason is, I brought this up before, he's finally starting a change of mix of portal and high school. In 2021 through 2024, he was highly prioritizing portal, bringing 40 new portal players every year. And now he's starting to change that. He's bringing more high school guys, and he's actually doing well on this year's high school recruiting class. I think he's right there neck and neck with Miami and Florida on their high school recruiting. I think Miami, Florida, and Florida State are all like 12 through 14 or 11 through 13 right now in high school recruiting. So he's starting to change that. Obviously, you can blame him for not changing that earlier. I would agree with that. But if at this point we had the 40th ranked high school recruiting class or 25th, and he's going to continue with the portal, okay, that'd be really bad. But he's starting to change that. Reason number 8 is he's young. He's only 44 years old. He's even though he's in year 6, he's still learning how to be a CEO head coach. This is his first year as a CEO head coach role. And if you look at, and you can't really compare it to the old era in the Bobby Bowden era, but like Bobby Bowden in his 6th year was going 7-6, and then he was still learning how to be a head coach. He was a head coach at West Virginia before he went to Florida State in the early 70s. So you have to bet as the Florida State administration that he's going to learn how to be a great head coach, and he's still learning. And yeah, you don't want someone learning on the job at Florida State. In an ideal world, you want someone that's already learned how to do this, but it is what it is. And I think you have to bet on him learning and growing, and he's young. He's not like Mario's in his mid 50s, Signetti's in his late 60s. Like, he's still pretty young, and like he's shown that he can adapt and change. So you have to bet on him learning how to be a great head coach. Reason number 9, head coaches in his coaching tree are doing pretty well. Dan Lanning at Oregon and Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State. Now, they both lost yesterday, but overall, those coaches are doing pretty well. So if you're going to fire Mike and then have one of these guys in his coaching tree on as one of your hot board guys, like, why would you go after Dillingham when you hired the guy that basically was trained Dillingham? So that's
I want nothing
to
do with that tree. I want nothing to do with that tree. Keep that tree, its branches, and its roots the fuck
so
away
you
from
so you wouldn't want Dan Lanning as head coach at Florida State?
Dan Lanning, yeah, of
I
course,
would
but
not-
I don't
hold
even
on,
give
hold on,
I don't
hold on,
give
hold
him
on.
credit for that. I don't
He's
give
not
Mike
in the,
credit
he's not
for
in the
that.
Mike tree. He's
Yeah,
a Kirby
he's
tree.
in the
That's
Kirby
the
Smart-
tree. He's
No,
Kirby.
no. Before he was with Kirby,
He was a linebackers
was-
coach with Mike. I'm not counting
Yeah.
that. He was Kirby's
That's
DC. He
awful
got his first
favorable
big
for Mike.
job with Kirby.
I think he had more years with Mike than Kirby. But actually, he was with Mike back at Pittsburgh 2011. He was with Mike 2012 at Arizona State, with Mike at 2013
Graduate
Arizona
assistant,
State.
bro.
Yeah.
And then he was with Mike at Memphis. So, okay, 5 years with Mike versus
But that's not that
Kirby.
doesn't make him part of the tree though. He was an actual coach with Kirby.
He's part of both trees, but you could make the argument, okay, I'll accept that you could say he's more of the Kirby tree, but he's part of both trees. And if you look at what Dan Lanning has said in the past about Mike, like, he's basically said he's been one of the most influential coaches on him as a coach. So real quick, I want to just get through this. I got 2 more reasons. Last year, okay, last year they lost big. They would get blown out in games. This year they're starting to lose close. So like all the losses have been one possession. Next year should be win close. And I obviously like we're in year 6. I see you putting your hands over your head, but
He
You
doesn't
gotta have
reset every
realistic
4 years.
expectations, though. You
he's
can't just say, "Oh,
starting
we're gonna win
over
every
with
game."
the new coordinators. So I will say he's progressing from last year. Last year you can't argue. Last year they were getting blown
He's
out.
one
They were
win
losing
better.
big.
Yeah, he's
This
one win
year
better.
he's no, I'm saying the margin of victory. Like they lost to Notre Dame by 40 points. They lost to Florida by 20 points. Like this year, all the losses have been one possession losses. So you could see that he is improving the program from last year. And then the last reason is we said overall we don't want to talk about money, but I'll say if I'm Florida State's administration, I would rather save that buyout money to buy yourself out of the ACC in 3 to 4 years when the ACC buyout goes down to 80, 90 million versus let's buy out Mike now and then have to stay in the ACC longer. I think it's from an administration perspective, you would rather get out of the ACC and get in with a bigger conference and make more money and keep Norvell rather than fire Norvell and have to stay in the ACC longer because you can't afford the buyout. So that's
Dude, but
my last reason.
I think you could Bobby Bonilla that thing, and give him like 2.5 mil on the buyout for the next fucking 20 years or whatever it is. Like
Dude, that was the worst contract in the history of sports.
Not for
Bobby Bonilla makes $1
Not for
million
Bobby.
every year.
I'd be Bobby Bonilla Day. You could have Mike Norvell Day in Tallahassee, bro.
Yeah.
I think there's flexible ways to work around that money issue is all I'm saying.
I think
so.
I think any school wants to buy their coach, they will. Even with the money. I feel like it's nickel and dime at a certain point.
Yeah, but you have to factor in the ACC buyout's going to be $90 million in 3 to 4 years.
A lot of those points I share with Florida. I share about Billy Napier. A lot of those points. So
how do you get support from the fans and how do you get more money in when I feel like most people probably feel how I feel? Dog, could you imagine donating millions of dollars to this program and then watching a freshman quarterback at Pitt run you out in your crib? Bro, get me on the helicopter, get me the fuck out of here. My checkbook's coming with me. Holler at me when when Mike's out of here. Like, no way am I giving another dollar to this program, bro. No way.
And that's what makes schools end up firing their coach is if the big boosters pull their money out. So if that happens, then yeah, you might, like you said, it might make sense to just cut your losses at this point. And that's going to be up to Mike, his relationship with the big boosters, his relationship with the AD. Can they keep that NIL money coming in? So that's definitely a factor. But I think we've beat the dead horse on Mike. We only got 10 minutes left, so I want to get to Napier. Jalen, to this point, you've been a supporter of Napier. You were a supporter of Napier last year. You didn't want them to fire Napier last year when a lot of the fans wanted him gone. This year, even with the bad start, they're now, I think is it 2-4 is the record, I think, right now. So where are you at on Napier? Are you still on the keep Napier train? And if so, why?
Yeah, I am still on the keep Napier train. The thing about it is, like, I would say I'm straddling the fence only because, like, we are actually at that point to where, like, the boosters, like, want to, like, pull their funding or they don't want to, like, contribute just because Napier is still there. So it's like when the majority of the fan base wants you out, you kind of do have to go, unfortunately, at this point. But what I am interested in as far as Napier is, like, hey, we just talked about how Mike Norvell is not, like, a good recruit of talent. Napier is one of the most elite recruiters of talent. So one, we're going to get rid of that. Two, like you said about your reason for keeping Norvell, who are you going to get outside of Lane Kiffin? Because we don't know if he's going to leave Ole Miss. Everybody else that we would possibly want has a job already and is pretty
James Franklin.
comfortable in their job. Pretty comfortable in their job for the most part.
Jed Fish had a big win yesterday, and he's a Florida grad. So that would be someone where, is he a step up from Napier? He went to Florida.
We need a big name hot on the streets right now. I don't know if Jed Fish is the one that we want to do. I say Dan Lanning. Me personally, I say not Dan Lanning. I say
Lane Kiffin,
or Kurt Sinani if you want to slide from Indiana, because Florida's way better than Indiana. He probably won't, but still, Florida's a more
Yeah.
attractive job. You can have some comfortability here.
But
We'll pay you more
overall,
than that.
like
Pay you more than Indiana.
the team has been improving, like from the beginning of the year. The offense has been improving. I know it stalled in the second half yesterday, but overall, you think, okay, with his recruiting abilities, with his ability to bring in a Dallas Wilson, a DJ Lagway, a Jaden Baugh, a Vernell Brown, and his program ability, you're still on the keep Napier train, and you think they should keep building with him.
100%. Because in 2 years, when we like are a solidified powerhouse, or like he gets those recruits in, he starts to line them up. It's still it's gonna look like how it's supposed to look. Even if the offense starts to click, maybe does have to get an offensive coordinator. Maybe he does have to change. Because like you said, like with the coaching, like hey, once you get an offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, you do kind of have to start over to implement those changes. So like that's not even a guarantee that those things are gonna fix that, even with the new head coach. I think he's moving the right direction. I think our fan base is happy with the wins because we do see the talent, and we see the treasure trove of talent that we have there. But it takes a while to build a very successful program to where you can get it without having all that knowledge in place. And I feel like Billy Napier is also somebody that is learning on the job. He was able to do it at Louisiana, but here's a different story being SEC when it's at its most competitive in NIL is at the forefront. So I'm still on the keep Billy train. I think the buyout stuff, it depends. That's to the board and the athletic administration decide. But I think if we give Billy another year or two, I think that'll do good for the program personally.
Trent, if you were to put yourself in Florida fans' shoes, are you on the keep Napier train or the fire Napier train?
Well, first of all, you can't just keep saying once he gets his guys in and they'll be fine. It's
So
using
he
year
has the
4.
guys.
His guys are supposed to be in now, and I hate using Mario Cristobal as an example because I don't like,
No, you don't.
I say a lot of things about Mario, but this is what happens. Look what teams are supposed to look like in year 4. Your guys are in, they're the leaders of the team, they're your quote unquote ministers of culture, and that's the time frame. You got 4 years to get your guys in. He's in year 4 now, so I don't like that whole that argument, and the same goes for Mike. The clock doesn't reset after 4 years. You're supposed to continue as your team continues to grow, but Billy, and like I said earlier, Florida is close. They're so close, but I just don't think Billy gets them over the hump. Obviously, he's great talent acquisition. We've seen that. He's got 2-star freshman receiver. He's got the all-world quarterback, or so they say. But he's good at bringing guys in. It just and it doesn't help that they have a brutal schedule every year, but they just are unable to get over that hump every year, and because of that, it's the same story. So I think his time, his days are numbered. They have to be. They haven't won unless he can pull off. I thought it was one out from before yesterday. I don't even
It
see him
was.
now winning out and still getting his job. It's hard. So there's a high expectation to win in Florida, as we all know, and he's just not cutting it. And obviously, he does a lot of things that are good. Like Anthony said earlier, they play hard as hell for this guy. They fight for him. They're in every game. They're in every game they play, no matter who they play. They don't give a shit if they play Ohio State or Long Island. They will always be in every game. So that's the one good quality of Billy, but they're not winning.
And that's why you keep him, because we're in
But
every
you're in
game.
year
That's why
4.
you
You
keep
got to
him.
start winning these
That's
games.
why
You're
you
at
keep him.
Florida.
I
You're
know, I
supposed to
know,
have
I
your
know.
guys, and you have the money, you have the
But
backing, you have
the
the
wins
recruits,
come
I
no
guess.
matter what.
But
The
you
wins
got to
is
start
That's why I
winning,
think
and
it's
they
a harder
haven't won.
decision. I think it's a harder decision.
I agree. I think Billy is a harder decision than Mike at this point because Billy's putting some product on the field, and
Right.
he's in year 4, Mike's in year 6, and Billy's guys are
But
fucking
wait,
playing
I'll
hard.
push back on that because Billy's best regular season record has been 7-5 at Florida, and this is year 4. Mike has had a 10-win season, 13-win season, so
He's also had a
don't
2-win
think
season.
that's true.
Sir, the
That's true.
ceiling's higher, but the
You have
floor's
to
in the
look at it.
fucking
I mean,
basement.
you have to look at it, in recent memory. You can't. Unfortunately, it's hard to go back to 2023 and keep harping on 2023. Look at them now. Look at them the last 2 years. They've been bad. Florida was bad to start 2024, but look at the way they finished that season. Like, look at the way they're playing now. I mean, they're not exactly winning, but they're playing hard and they're in all these games against good teams and on the road. So Billy just look. I didn't think I'd ever say this. Billy looks better than Mike right now.
We roll Warriors right now.
What I'll say on Napier is if he hires an offensive coordinator, as a Gator fan, I would like to see that after this season because I don't like his offense. I don't like his play calling, but he is a good program builder. He's a good evaluator of talent. He's a great recruiter. And I think he can be really good in the CO role. For some reason, he can't let go of the play calling and the offense. But I think after this year, if he does that, that can be a scapegoat. That can give the fans some hope. So, Anthony, I want to get your take on Napier. If you're putting yourself in a Florida fan's shoes, are you on the fire Napier train or the keep Napier train?
If I were a Florida fan, and just saying that, I feel sick to my stomach, I'd have to keep him. I'd have to keep him for right now because of some of the things that you said. Who do we replace him with? Yeah, Lane Kiffin, sure. Like I love the idea of it if I'm a Florida fan. But
Okay.
I think that his positives right now make it harder because the team doesn't quit. They get stronger most times as the season goes on. He's recruiting, he's getting players in. So, like, I think it's a lot harder of a choice because you've seen what guys can come in there and do, like McElwain and like all the coaches they've had since Urban who've sucked. I think it's a much, much harder choice because he's given you some positives and avoided some national embarrassments that Mike has had on his own. So I think if I were sitting here right now as a Gator fan, I'd let him ride out the Lagway thing, man. I would let him ride out the Lagway thing. I'd make him bring in an OC and say, you're supposed to be an offensive guy. Our offense sucks. Bring in somebody else, and I'd ride out the Lagway years and see what happens.
I think that's the
Yeah.
plan. That was what we
Yeah,
should.
Yeah, you brought up two good points there. I think of Lagway, but I also think of Dallas Wilson. If you fire
Darnell Brown.
Napier, Dallas Wilson's probably in the portal. This guy is, to me, he's going to be a first-round pick, wide receiver.
I was going to say,
one
he's
of the
probably in
best.
Coral Gables. He's probably in Coral Gables.
Give me
if
Dallas
he's
Wilson.
anywhere.
Give me Dallas Wilson.
So that's what you got to think about. Okay, fire Napier, but then you're going to lose Dallas Wilson. You're going to lose DJ Lagway. You're not going to lose Vernell Brown because he's a legacy, but that's one thing. Good point you brought up. And the other point I wanted to mention is a lot of times we think about the last 10 years, the last 20 years, however long we've been watching college football, but we're in a new era of not only college football, but of the SEC. So Billy's SEC, you can't compare that to McElwain and Muschamp's SEC. It was a lot easier to win in the SEC East in that era, the early 2015s versus now. Like, none of those guys had the schedule that Billy has. So you have to factor that in. And I brought up how Mike's a young coach. Billy is also a young coach. He is learning on the job. He was at Louisiana for a few years, but he's really one of those guys that if you bet on him, like, hey, developing into like a great head coach, he could be the guy for a long time there. And that could end up being better than the 4-year turnover thing, the cycle that the Gators have been on since Urban Meyer left. So with that, great show, guys, today. A lot of fun. And thanks for joining.
Thanks, bro.
Fun, guys.
Go Noles.
Go Gators, baby. See y'all in November.
All right.
Dreading it later.